Hey, it's Joddie Taylor of SnackySays. Welcome back to my podcast, the SnackySays podcast. Today I am chatting about goals, motivation, and plans, and the strategy behind these things, or what my strategy is, and how I've been failing. I've been failing. So let's chat about it. Today I got a pop-up. I'm recording this Saturday, October 14th, 2023. I got a calendar pop-up notification and it said, listen to me. And I was like, what is this? What the hell is this? Listen to me. Okay. So I open it and it's a recording I made exactly 1 year ago. And as I opened this notification, I was like, oh no. What did I say? So it's less than 4 minutes. I press play and it's like, dear future Joddie. First of all, I sounded so confident and amazing and energetic. And I was like, you go past Joddie. You go. You sound great. All the things that I said to my future self, well, now this is present Joddie, none of it came to fruition. Not one thing. And so I really question, I haven't done anything like this in the last few months. And it's because this is the third time in the last year when I've gotten a pop-up like this. A year in advance, or 2 or 3 years, I will say, you know what? In 3 years, I want to wake up on my birthday in Paris. Like, it'll be very specific. And I will type that thing into my Google Calendar, set the notification for 2 weeks before the event, or the day before the event, and then I will forget about it. When I do these things, it's so that I have a pleasant surprise and I could open something and be like, haha, yeah, called it. I called it. I said I was going to be in Paris on my birthday. I said I was going to be doing these things in October 2023. Look at me now. Yeah, it has not worked out the last few years, and it never ceases. I'm going to focus on the last year, but I had these pop-ups last year and the year before. And like the first year or two, it's like, all right, no problem. You're doing good, kid. It hasn't worked out, but better must come still. It's like the third year in a row where all of my premonitions, all the things that I wanted, it just has not come together. I'm laughing, but what else can I do? What else can I do but laugh? The first year, of course, things were going to be off, because who could have expected a pandemic? I could have never anticipated the year that I personally had, and then the year that everybody had because of the pandemic. Who knew? Right? So it makes sense that things that popped up that I thought I would be doing, places I thought I would be going, that it didn't pan out. But it's continued to happen. So another example is last year I had a pop-up 2 weeks before my birthday, and it said something like, oh, by the way, the recording thing, that was the first and last time I did it. I don't have any other recordings that I've sent to myself from the past. So the notification 2 weeks before my birthday said something like, waking up, in Paris on my birthday in 2 weeks. As soon as I opened it, I was like, this is not going to happen. First of all, if I'm not mistaken, my passport was expired at the time. Yeah, it was expired. I had no plans to get on a plane, much less go to Paris. And I started to spiral, even though I didn't realize it at the time. In retrospect, what I could have done was done something, the closest version of that. Like maybe I could have gone to a French restaurant or seen a French exhibit, or I don't know, ordered some croissants. Yes, to be fair, I wasn't necessarily eating butter at the time, but it would have been worth the exception. But I didn't do that. So instead, I did something else, which was nice. I had a good birthday. It just wasn't what I had. And I think it was just playing in my mind, since I saw that notification. And then we went for like a birthday lunch. I'm always going to be that person. I always prefer like a birthday brunch or lunch over dinner, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. Went for a birthday lunch. I hadn't eaten rice since my birthday the year before. And I got a rice bowl. It was like Korean inspired. I think it actually was called like Korean fried tofu rice bowl or something like that. The rice was just okay. And there was chicken in my rice bowl. And I thought I was going to flip the bowl. I was so upset because I don't eat chicken. And at that point, I hadn't eaten chicken for a few years. And it was like, it just, I realize now it was just like, man, I was supposed to be in Paris. That thought never fully came to my mind, but I think it was just in the background, like in my my subconscious, like, I was supposed to be in Paris and then giving me okay rice with, chicken. There's chicken in my food. I was so upset. And later I got McDonald's. I don't usually eat fast food, but those fries are banging. And I wanted those fries on my birthday. It was supposed to be like a treat. And the fries were just okay. And I just spiraled for the rest of the month. And then the next month until I was 13 pounds. I gained 13 pounds by February. And it was all because of my desire to motivate myself and to prove to myself, like, look, you had this idea. It was an idea and you made it happen, Captain. But I did not make it happen. So I guess what I'm chatting about is like, how I try to motivate myself and it doesn't work out. I haven't created any of those calendar pop-ups this year for sure, but because I create them a year, 3 years in advance, and then I guess kind of forget about them, I never know when one is going to pop up, and it never ceases, at least the last 3 years for sure. It never ceases to make me feel like sigh because I had this thing, I just gave you 2 examples. Like I said, I'm going to do this thing. I thought things were going to be different in my mind because I always play the long game. Well, if it's fitness, I'll give myself a year or more to meet a goal. And the same thing with like, I could have the year that the year that I put in that thing about my birthday, I could have said, Paris in 2 months. But no, I picked 2 years because surely I could achieve it, right? Don't call me Shirley. Surely I could have achieved it, but I didn't. So there's no tip there. I'm just kind of sharing out loud how I've tried to motivate myself and made these plans. What I could do differently, number one, is to stop with the calendar invites. Not calendar invites. Stop with the calendar notifications. I still believe in writing down what I want to do. I'm not against it. But I think I'm in a place where I feel like pick one thing and work on that thing every day like even if it's 5 minutes actively, consistently, and eventually it will pay off or I'll get on the plane. So maybe if I had said, big maybe actually, because I know my life and I know everything that's going on. But maybe I could have said, all right, maybe I need to keep track of these things, like write down all of the inspiring, motivational things that I've put in my calendar and then delete them, way in advance. Cause I could have predicted 6 months before my birthday that I was not going to Paris for my birthday. But I'm such a Pollyanna. I am such a Pollyanna. I always think like, it can happen. You never know. It can happen. Oh gosh. What else do I want to say about plans and goals? I wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to share a video with you. I'll put the link in the show notes. I came across this quite by accident the other day and it totally resonated with me. Her name is Rory Ohama. She has a video. Hold on a second. I'm going to look up the exact title. Okay, found it. So Rory Ohama, the name of the video is 5 Habits That Made Me $30,000 a month by the age of 22. So I wanted to focus on the 5th habit because it really resonated with me. And she basically said, don't share your goal with others. And this is something that I've also been thinking a lot about, because if you're a longtime subscriber, you might remember a few years ago, I was like, I'm going to make a digital magazine. And I said it, I think in like 2 newsletters. And I never did it. I still haven't done it. That's not true. I haven't completed it. I've started it, but I've never completed it. And she goes on to say something like there's some data or science that shows that when you announce a goal, it's almost like you get, I'm going to paraphrase here, so please check out the video. It's like you get a high. It's almost like you've done the thing just by saying it. Because sometimes in my mind, again, I'm paraphrasing. This is why it resonated with me. I'm going to talk about how I feel. I say I'm going to do something and it's like, this it's a big step to announce to others that you're going to do something because you feel vulnerable, or you feel nervous, and then you say it. And that seems like the big hurdle, or at least for me, that seems like the big hurdle, putting it out there. The real big hurdle is the tedious, consistent work that you have to do every day to actually make it happen. The other thing that happens when you tell folks is, well-meaning or not, some people are just bad mind. Some people have your best interest at heart and they want you to feel safe and protected, so they don't want you to take any risk. You start to feel doubts. You can start to feel doubts when you talk to other people, because it's kind of like you want someone to say like, yeah, that's a great idea. You want the validation. I keep saying you, but just pretend it's me we're talking about. If you feel attacked or feel like, no, that's not me, what are you talking about? So she was saying basically move in silence, do what you're doing, and just show the results. So that's something that I've been doing instead of making announcements about, like I will say something micro, like small, like, oh, in upcoming episodes, I will talk about travel workouts. I'm going to talk about what I'm reading. Like, that's not a big announcement. That's very different from, I'm going to create a digital magazine. I'm going to have, SnackySays merchandise. Now, how different is it when I'm like, ta-da, here's a magazine. It's in your inbox. Here's a digital magazine, or ta-da, on sale, snacky merchandise, get yours now. Now, to you, the subscriber or person listening, you're clicking links in the show notes. It's just appeared there. What you're not going to get is the months that it took me to get there. I think the mistake I've made, Well, what's happened in the past is I say I'm going to do something and you're going to have it in 2 months, or I'm going to, show this in the next episode, and then it doesn't happen, and then I feel awful, and then here comes more spiraling. So for the paid subscribers, SnackySays paid subscribers, called snackers at joddie.substack.com. That's joddie.substack.com. You all know exactly what I'm talking about, because I've said, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to have this in your inbox in a month, and then it doesn't happen. So I'm not doing that anymore. As snackers know, I finish something, I complete it, and then you'll have it, as opposed to me putting things out there. All right. So again, I don't really have any tips. I'm just reflecting, and that voice note from myself started this train of thought. So I just thought I would hit record and chat about it. It is something that's really, I'm kind of keeping it breezy today, and I'm laughing, but I've definitely not. I've obviously, this is the third time this year. So the other 2 times I was not hitting record. I was not going to be like, Kiki, let me tell you about this funny thing that happened. How I didn't meet my goals from a year ago. I'm not where I thought I would be, where I was sure I would be. But I guess by the third time I'm ready to laugh about it. But the first 2 times, it was not funny at all. I was just like, oh my gosh, Joddie. What were you thinking? I was thinking how great I would feel when I opened that calendar notification and I could say like I did it, but that didn't happen. Yeah, that's the thing. It never occurred to me that I would open these calendar notifications one day and it wouldn't happen, because I gave myself so much time. But c'est la vie, right? All right. If you got this far, I appreciate you. By the way, I'm recording on my new phone. Do you hear a difference? It's the Google Pixel 8 Pro. This is not an ad or anything. I've only had it for 2 days, but so far I like it. It's a lot bigger than my Google Pixel 3. So phones have changed in the last few years. So we'll see what happens with this phone. We'll see the magic that happens, what stories I'll tell and whatnot, and how long I have it. I don't know if I should push it and have a smartphone for 4 years. It's just not made for 4 years, 2 years max. Okay. Okay. Thank you for listening. Again, if you got this far, I appreciate you. This is Joddie Taylor of SnackySays. If you enjoyed this podcast episode or any of my podcast episodes, please subscribe if you haven't already at joddie.substack.com. That's joddie.substack.com. And please share with a friend or three. If you have any ideas or suggestions about motivations and goals and planning, I'd love to hear them. I'm all ears. I think it's time for something new. I still want to motivate myself, but maybe I need more concrete action steps or something. I've really been thinking a lot about it, and I'm interested in your thoughts. Okay, thanks so much for listening. Take care.